What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Let me just ask, where the fuck did October go? It feels like it was only a week long, and I think November's going to be the same, and I'll blink and it'll be Christmas time before we know it. It just does my head in. But what I'm going to start with is what I read throughout the month of October. So firstly, I want to talk about something Dean Koontz put online through Amazon. So on the digital platform, he released a set of 6 short novellas which range in length between 50 and 80 pages. So what he does is he releases 6 short novels at once, and they're designed to read like TV episodes. So he calls this Nameless, and I just finished reading series 2 this month. Now, he did make series 1 last year, and I remember devouring that, and as soon as season 2 came up on my radar, just had to stop everything and read it back to back, which is awesome. So basically the premise is it involves a main character called Nameless. He has no idea about anything of his past life. All he has are a unique set of skills. He's an assassin. He completes assignments. He doesn't even know who his handlers are, apart from one individual who is known as the Ace of Diamonds, who communicates with him predominantly by SMS and gives him unlimited funds to carry out different kinds of missions. So he's really got this Jason Bourne thing happening there, where all he has is his skills. Any memories of his past life, he has no idea at all. So what he does is he gets given assignments to target certain individuals and take them out, essentially. Now, any Koontz fan will know about Odd Thomas. Now, there are some similarities between Nameless and Odd Thomas. Odd Thomas was really good with fighting supernatural evil, basically, and using his what he calls psychic magnetism. So he has a unique psychic ability that helps him in overcoming supernatural adversaries, actually. With Nameless, he's also relies on a certain psychic intuition as well when he's carrying out his assignments. So there's similarities between the two characters, whereas Odd Thomas fights supernatural entities. Nameless actually goes up against the evil that resides within the human skin. So he goes after really evil people and he triumphs. And what I thought was most interesting in the series is as the series progresses, he begins to be aware of small snippets of his previous life that he can't quite put his finger on. So it'll start with nightmares and things like that, and eventually leads up to a climax by the 6th story, where you find out all the answers as to why he is doing what he's doing, basically. So anything further there will spoil it, but I found them to be great little reads. They're very quick. They're $2 each on Amazon, so they're pretty good value, and you can read one story in a single sitting. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out, and you won't be disappointed. Now, next, I just wanted to touch upon something else I read. Classic Richard Lehman right here with Darkness Tell Us. So this is about a group of college students who fool around one night with a Ouija board, and so-called spirit gives them instructions to go up into the mountains and look for treasure. So in true Lehman style, there's blood and gore and all that sort of thing, and murder and suspense and all the ingredients you can come to expect from a classic Richard Lehman novel. And I wanted to read that for a little while, and I thought, well, look, I was feeling a bit nostalgic last month, and I thought, I'll crack it open. Haven't actually read it for around 20 years or so, so I'd forgotten virtually everything that happens in the book, so that was pretty good. I also read Jim Butcher's Full Moon, the second installment in the Harry Dresden series. Was great. It was a very quick read. It's only a bit over 300 pages, and this time he came up against werewolves, which was an original take on the mythology and everything like that. A recurring character who he works with, Murphy, the detective. I haven't really taken to her yet. I think she's a bit uptight and an annoying character. As the series goes on, maybe she'll evolve and become more likeable. So I thought that was pretty good. Now, these next two are by Mark Dawson. Now, he is a fantastic thriller writer that I discovered last year, and as soon as I picked up his first book, which was The Cleaner, I was hooked. It's about... the series is about John Milton. He's an ex-British Secret Service assassin who has a crisis of conscience when he's completing an assignment in the French Alps, I think it was. And he then thought, well, it's time to get out. But with the British Secret Service, you don't just hand in your resignation. The leader of the British Secret Service feels it's too much of a risk to let Milton go that way. So Milton basically says, I'm going anyway, see you later. And it puts a death warrant on his head. So he goes into hiding, and he is sort of like the equalizer. He feels that he needs to give back a little bit. He's haunted by all the lives he's taken. He's been a professional assassin for quite some time, and now he's trying to live the quiet life, and he's a recovering alcoholic as well. He used to drink to try and drown out all the screams of the dead that he's left in his wake. So he's a really righteous character. Reminds me a little bit of Jack Reacher, just a British version. So he wants to do the right thing and wants to do right by people, and he goes on his road to redemption essentially. And I like how in the books, threaded through the plot lines, is his former teammates coming after him because the director of British intelligence has put out a warrant to have him taken down and killed because he feels he's too much of a risk. But I read these two back to back. Can't recommend the series enough, and I plan on binging the rest of the series when I can. And I had the new Lee Child to read as well, which I scooped up the day it was released. Now, I'll start by saying this wasn't the best Reacher book I've ever read. Okay, now Andrew Child has been co-writing this one and the last book in the series because Lee Child is actually moving away from the Jack Reacher books, so his brother has been co-writing a few of them until he can stand on his own 2 feet. So Andrew Child, for people who don't know, he writes his own books with his own pen name, Andrew Grant, and he actually has written this one here that I read last year called Even. So he's a really good thriller writer in his own right. Now, Lee Child doesn't become a best-selling writer and has hit after hit after hit with a Reacher book without having big shoes to fill. So I remember last year when the Sentinel came out, this one was the first book that Lee Child co-wrote with his brother. When that came out, all the fans gave Lee Child a lot of flack because it wasn't the best Reacher book either. Now, it'll take a little bit of time for his brother to fill those big shoes, and I think as the series goes on and as Andrew Child has a bit more free range to do what he wants to do, I think we'll see an improvement with the Reacher books. Now, Reacher, in this book, he has to neutralise a pretty frightening threat. Comes to the aid of an FBI agent at the start of the book and kicks a bit of ass in true Reacher fashion, and reaches a pretty satisfactory climax. You get a really good look at Reacher's righteousness and toughness. It's written in the first person, which isn't very common in a Reacher book, and I felt it worked for the story. You get in Reacher's head a little bit more than what you can do when you read in third person, basically. So yeah, it wasn't the best book. I gave it a 4 out of 5, 4 out of 5 stars. But, it read quite quickly, so, it was good, but it wasn't a Reacher book where I found myself staying up all night to finish it and that sort of thing. So it did take me a little bit longer than usual, but don't let that put you off buying it. It's still a really good, book, and you'll like a lot of the action in it and that sort of thing, but saying anything else will just spoil it, so I won't spoil it for anyone. But do yourself a favour and grab it, because it is still a decent read. And finally, Matthew Riley's The One Impossible Pyramid. So this is my book of the month. It's the best book I read. There are a lot of ingredients that go into choosing a book of the month. It has to have tug on the emotional heartstrings a little bit. It has to keep you up late to finish it, and it has to have you thinking about the book all the time when you're in the middle of it, looking for every opportunity to pick it up again. So for a book to do that, it more than qualifies for a book of the month. Now this one's extra special. This book closes out the Jack West Jr. series, which has been 16 years in the making. So a lot of the devoted Matt Riley fans out there were excited about the book, but also sad as well, because it's the end of an era. Jack West Jr. was such a great character. These books were just high octane, non-stop action. They were epic in scale. The puzzles and the riddles and all the clues that, and the traps that Jack West has to overcome to achieve his goals. It's just an incredible series, and if you haven't read it, the series, I recommend starting it, because the books read very quickly. This one I think I mopped up in 2 or 3 sittings basically, and this one kept me up one night until 12:30 a.m. so I could finish it. So that's what qualifies for a book of the month for me. So awesome is all I can say. Now, as to what I'm going to read for November and December, I was going to do monthly TBRs, but given that November and December has some really good releases coming out as well, and my TBR is in a constant state of flux, I thought it's just easier to do it for the months of November and December. So I'll start with what I'm currently reading as of November. I've started the next installment in the purely epic Malazan Empire by Stephen Erickson. This is book 4, House of Chains. These are so thick, it's just ridiculous. This one's 1,013 pages. It's not for the faint of heart, and as soon as I started the series early this year, I was hooked. It's the cast of characters alone is just insane. At the start of the book, he actually has what they call a dramatis personae. So a list of all the characters, because there's so many characters that go into a Malazan book. And so far, I'm a couple of 100 pages into this one, and I'm really enjoying it so far. But after this one, I've got 6 more to go. So it is a long slog, but I am enjoying that. I'm going to have a crack at getting the 2 Jim Butcher Dresden File books that I mentioned last week in a video. So look, they're about 300 pages each, so I will mop those up in about 3 days each, I would imagine, so wouldn't spend too long on those. Also going to try and fit in the 5th installment of Malazan, Midnight Tides, another house brick weighing in at 951 pages. You can do a dumbbell curl with this one, it's just insane, but very enjoyable. So I can't wait to get stuck into that one. I don't think I'll read it back to back with House of Chains. Once you finish a book of this size, it does wreck you mentally, so it's always good to have a couple of quick short reads on hand in between those thicker ones. Now, Peter James, I'm also going to continue with that series. I'm halfway through the Peter James series at the moment, and these are pretty good. The Roy Grace series, he's an awesome detective based in Brighton. Some of you may have seen the TV show on ABC called Grace, which are based on the books. Short chapters. It's about 500 pages, 125 chapters, so it's easy to actually mow through it fairly quickly. So I plan on finishing the series next year so I can move on to other things. Book number 3 in the Magician series by Raymond D. Feist. I discovered Magician earlier this year, which was a fantastic book, and I read the follow-up Silverthorn, and this is the third book that closes out the trilogy, Darkness at Sethanon. And I want to get this trilogy completed because I want to move on to the next trilogy that he has written. So hopefully I can get stuck into that next year as well. Now, a book here I've been meaning to read for quite a number of years, The Talisman by Stephen King, with his collaboration with Peter Straub. I remember attempting it when I was a teenager and thought, oh, this is fucked. It's, I didn't get into it. And I thought, look, it's time to actually give it a crack. I've heard good things about it online. And it's pretty thick as well. It's 900 pages, but I'm hoping it'll read pretty quickly. Now, I actually got this recently to upgrade my previous copy, which was a smaller version with the tiniest print that I just can't read because I'm getting older now and nearly blind. But the text in this is actually quite a lot sharper, and should be able to read through that pretty quickly. So really looking forward to that. Another crime series I really want to start is the Logan McRae crime series, kicking it off with Cold Granite. I've heard good things about the series. The main character is based in Scotland, and I've heard it's just awesome. So I thought, look, I'm going to give that a go. If I like it, I'll start to get really stuck into the series. And I also have James Patterson's NYPD Red. Now, I've known about this series for a little while. I've read Michael Bennett. I've also read the Private series, which are fantastic. And I've got all 6 of the NYPD Red, so I thought, look, I'm going to give this a go. Patterson writes very short, punchy chapters as well, so it's very easy to get going pretty quickly with these books. Something like this would actually take me 2 or 3 days. So it should be good, and if it is good, I'll probably switch my TBR around a little bit and might binge number 2 or 3. We'll see how we go. So I'm looking forward to that. That's what I've got to read physically. There are more books I want to read in November and December, but they're not here because they're not released yet. So one I'm really keen to get my hands on, which is released next Tuesday, is by Ken Follett. I've known of Ken Follett's work for a little while. I know he writes historical fiction. I haven't actually read any of those, but he's actually releasing a political thriller called Never. And it's about a female president that is untested but gets really challenged. There's a terrorist threat as well. It's 800 pages long, so I'm looking forward to getting my teeth sunk into that, so that'll be good. Another book I can't wait to be released for November is Chain of Command, which is a Tom Clancy Jack Ryan Jr. book. I've been waiting for this one since mid-year, and this one will involve Kathy Ryan, Jack Ryan Sr.'s wife, the First Lady, being kidnapped. So it'll be interesting to see how Jack Ryan handles that. It's been a fantastic series, and it's what I'm going to just drop everything for as soon as I get my hands on it. Everything stops, it'll be picked up, it'll be read in 2 or 3 sittings, and just really looking forward to that. Also this month there will be another Clive Cussler book called The Devil's Sea. It'll be another Dirk Pitt adventure, which the last one came out 2 years ago, so I'll get my hands on that one and enjoy that as well. So that is my TBR for November, December, and I think I've bitten off more than I can chew. Whether every book I've mentioned that I'll be reading for November, December, whether they'll all be read or not, it's only time will tell. And because my TBR is in a constant state of flux, some things will be shuffled around a little bit, but I plan on reading most of these. So thanks for watching again, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know what you plan on reading for November and December yourselves. Leave it below in the comments, and I'll see you again soon. See ya.